welcome back to another video here with Kaiokris, and today we're going to be going over the updated list for the remaining 4 green decks for set 3. As always, make sure you guys like and subscribe if you guys do enjoy the content. I do appreciate all of the support that you've given to the channel, and we'll just jump right in here and start to talk about green in its entirety. And we're first going to talk about Broly. This is a 51 card list for Broly. Some big changes to the list. Big changes. There's very few cards from the new set that really work well in Broly, but a few of them just sort of add to the defensive nature of the deck. Once allowing you to get to 8 energy and not have to worry about getting double striked from 5 to 3, right? Because that's actually pretty traumatic for you. So we added a few extra defensive cards. So we added the North Kai, very underrated card for green. And a lot of people are not really looking at green right now, and if they are, they're playing the Droid deck. But this is a very, very good card. So this is a 3-drop 15k. Also, it's a 10k combo blocker. When this card blocks, if you have 6 or more energy, add it to one card that costs 5 or 6 from your drop to your hand. So the idea is you can actually grab back Special Beam Cannon in Piccolo, and the Piccolo SR in Piccolo. That's kind of the idea. It works very well with those 2 cards, but also this works good with all 5 and 6 cost cards. So we have 4 of the Goku, which unfortunately is really needed for this deck to function. Is you need to be able to replace energy. So when you're using your leader effect, you're able to not go negative in energy. We also can search out the KO Gohan. Probably my favorite card right now for the format for green. Removing the black SCR is incredible. You can consider this kind of like the Rumshi of green. It's a very similar card, right? This hits 4 costs. So secret rare, hitting the blue Gohan, also hitting just some other decent cards in red, yellow, and in blue and black. It's a very strong card. You also have the 2 new blocker Goku, which is, it's interesting. You have to really understand how to play this card. It is a 0k, it's a 30k body, it's a blocker. When it's played and on KO, you draw a card, and you can add up to 1 card from your hand to your energy. So you technically don't have to ramp, but you can. So you can play it on 6, you can draw a card, you can cycle one of those dead destructive strengths in your hand, which is also probably one of the better parts of this card. You're just getting an extra, basically like an extra charge phase. And then if this card dies, due to KOing effect, you can then draw another card and then ramp another card. So you actually can gain 2 energy before you even get back to your next turn, which is very solid for a lot of decks. In a 30k body other than red is very difficult to remove. Like green can't remove this unless they're playing Cell or Broly, or Special Beam Cannon, right? Yellow will have a very tough time removing this card. And then blue, blue has to use Absolute Lightning. They can't use anything else really to remove this card. So it's a big body. I think this is going to be a really awesome tech piece for green decks to play. You just have to fit it into your deck because it is a 0k. So you have to kind of mind that with the Broly, the Cells, the Droids, all the other stuff you're going to play. 2 of the Double Strike Gohans, just because we run so many Goku targets, and we can grab this card back off of North Kai, and it's a 10k. We just play this over Droids in the deck. The 6-drop Goku kind of takes up the Droid slot for the 0k. We have the Broly package here. So one of the reasons why Broly would be a decent pick for this format is that Broly is one of 2 green decks that can successfully remove red Jiren. I know I'm saying successfully because I'm also not including Cell, which we'll get to. I guess you can include Cell. So 3 of the decks, right? All the decks other than the Droid deck really has a way of removing Jiren. So this, you can choose one of your battle cards. It can be this card, and then you can choose one of your opponent's cards and then add them to their owner's energy. So you can just bounce the Jiren to your opponent's energy. It's a 40k, it's a 7-drop, it's a 10k combo as well. So it works super well. It's something you definitely have to play. Unfortunately, we don't have any searchers for Broly, and I think it's done on purpose, obviously, because of this guy. But they can make a searcher that says like 7 or less or something. I'm sure we'll get something eventually that can search out Broly cards. We have 2 of the promo. It is a draw. It's 2 draws, which is actually kind of important in the later game. In the green mirror, and even in the blue, I know you should dominate most blue decks anyways. And same thing with like beers and stuff. But like as you get later into the game, like your hand's gonna be really small. Being able to establish a 40k body that's hard to remove, that also draws you 2 cards, it's very, very good. So I would definitely consider running this and try it out. It really only works in this deck, just because this deck has the most consistent ramp, other than the Droid deck. But Droid, you're not going to play this card in Droids. So, for the Big Boss Broly card, we have 3 Gigantic Meteors for defense. We have 2 Sensu Beans again. For defense, this is going to be more so against red. Just being able to bean your leader to 30 is pretty powerful. 4 destructive strengths because we absolutely need it. And then 2 instant Kamehamehas, just for extra defense if you do tap out. Alright, moving on to the Droid list. This is probably the most popular green deck right now. Everyone's playing this deck. I just don't find this deck to be very fun. I don't like the Android deck. I've played it a lot on the client, and I'm just not a big fan of this leader. So I know people like it though, so people will play it. Nothing crazy out of the ordinary different. It's basically the same list that you would be running right now. The one difference is, or I guess a few of the differences that I added. So Big Bang Attack is something that you have to play, add at least a 1 of, if not a 2 of. This deck is the only green deck, as I already mentioned, that cannot remove Jiren. And Jiren is kind of a gatekeeper for green. If you match up against Jiren, if you are playing the Droid deck, you're probably going to lose, because it's too hard to clear Jiren, and then you can never really get in to double strike them. So I'm sure there's ways of beating it, of course, and people will beat it. I'm sure someone will comment saying that it's super easy, but that's fine. But it's a very very difficult deck for you to beat. Right, or just a card just to beat, right? So that, and then also I added 2 I-beams. This was a tech from set 1. Some people used it, some people just kind of overlooked this card. So black and blue, probably the 2 most popular colors right now. These are playing a lot of 1-drop cantrips. Blue obviously already plays a ton of 1-drop cantrips, right? Because of the peel-off loop. But being able to snipe 2 of those 1-drops for 1 energy is really good. That's up to 20k combo power that you can just snipe for 1 energy. So, and this card also is an android, so you can once you use it, you also can put it back into your energy off of the androids, because we are running a lot. I mean, we're running a lot of androids, but we're also running a lot of non-android cards like the Gohans, the Broly, Trunks, right? Like you're running a decent amount of non droid cards. So it just gives you another target for those 2 as well. So there's not much to really say about the deck. I don't think much has really changed. I don't think you can really change much going on in this deck. Kind of just have to run. This is probably the most basic build of the Droid deck you can play. And I'm sure there's probably some smaller changes. This is a exactly 50 card list, so some changes people probably will make would maybe cut down the Broly or cut down the Droid or something. But yeah, this is what I would be playing if I was playing Droids, which again, I'm just not a huge fan of this deck. Moving on to a deck that I am an incredibly big fan of, is the Son Gohan list. 51 cards. This is probably my choice for best green deck. It's still my best choice. It doesn't really matter what anybody says. It's not going to change my mind. This is still, my opinion, the best green deck. One big thing is because this deck has the best removal card for anti-green cards. These are cards like Fusamasu. These are cards like Jiren, right? There's some other blue cards that can be removed, right? This card's really good. Absolutely good. This card is goated for green. You can only play it in this deck, obviously, because your leader has to be Gohan Childhood. But you bounce a 5 cost or less to your opponent's energy for 3 energy, and then you ramp. That is incredible. That's a 2 energy swing at a minimum, right? And sure, you give your opponent an energy, but you also remove something on board that they were banking on keeping, right? If you charge a red Jiren in any red matchup, right, they lose that Jiren, that's devastating. That is incredible. This is it's like in blue if you bounce it, right? So being able to add it to their energy, sure, they're getting energy out of it, whatever, right? You're a green deck. You want, as the longer the game goes, you're gonna end up outing just about every color. And a lot of the stuff in the deck, I mean, it's still kind of a lot of the same stuff. I mean, I think we only added 2 new cards to this particular build. One being the Gohan Secret Rare. This card's really good. It's just it's very sneakily bad. in some cases. So let me explain what that means. So I've seen a lot of decks playing 4 of this, and that is incorrect. I don't think you play 4 of this in any deck right now. Being a 0k, awful, right? 20k body, it's decent. Technically having to pay 4 to charge 1 energy, not great, right? And you have to swing, right? So the main purpose of playing this card is the permanent. So once you have 8 energy, your leader gains a permanent 20k on your turn. That is probably the best part about this card. And realistically, you should really only be trying to play this card late game. So if you have 7 energy, you have this card on board already, you can swing with it, go to 8 energy, now your leader becomes a 40k. Now you don't have to worry about comboing on your leader swing. Our leader swing is already super big because of the plus 15k. Now we're going to 55k for no energy. No energy and no card lost, right? That's incredible. Huge advantage for most matchups is using that effect there, right? The new card we added 2 of the Goku blockers. Again, it's kind of the same idea. So in this deck, you don't have a ton of dead cards, but having a blocker in the kind of the middle of the game that just allows you to ramp as well, it's good. It's a slot you can also kind of play with. This was sort of the slot I was using for the 5-drop Goku that allows you to ramp. That card I've been trying to phase out of the deck for a little bit, but I do think it's worth attempting to try it. This is good. Piccolo technically isn't a bad card as well, so you kind of have to play around with it a little bit. We have tons of targets to play off of our future Gohan, which is kind of the backbone of my build. Is like turn 5, I'm slamming this card. If I'm playing against black, I'm slamming this, but every other matchup, I'm slamming this card. And then I'm playing out one of these 2 guys, or I'm killing a 3 cost on board, right? You have the Trunks, obviously, that ramps a card, and then this guy also is a blocker that ramps the top card of your deck. And with the permanent here, you can't remove your opponent's, your opponent cannot remove your 3 dots by skills. So you can have this on board, and they can't remove it. They can still reduce its power to 0, but that's really about it. They can't do anything else. No other changes to the list. Like I said, this has been my personal list I've been playing Gohan with. Again, I do think this is probably the best green deck. People don't have to agree with me on that. I completely understand, but in my opinion, this is the best green deck. So give it a shot. Hopefully people play it. I would love to see more people playing Gohan, because it's right now currently it's just not getting any play at all, because everyone just wants to autopilot to the Droid deck. So, but again, Gohan deck here at 51 card list. Give this one a shot. I think you'd be very surprised on how good it currently fits into the meta. And the last green deck we're going to talk about is going to be Cell. I like Cell. There is the version that runs the Ginger Town card. I highly disagree with that. I don't like the inconsistency of that card. I like this particular build a little bit better. So this one I've played on the client. A lot of success with it. It's very fun. So obviously your whole deck's built around this Cell Games card, right? This allows you to ramp, draw extra cards per turn. This is sort of your saving grace, which most green decks don't. I mean, no other green deck has a card like this that's drawing you a second card per turn, right? We have the Bulma 1-drops here. This is kind of typical for the deck anyways. This is what you would be using if you're using Ginger Town anyways. However, instead of Ginger Town, we use this Hercule card, which allows us to add back 1-cost Earthling cards. So we can add these cards back. So later on in the game, if our hand is really weak, we can play this guy to grab back 2 other cards. So we can actually grab back 2 10Ks. Or the cantrip, we can grab back a combination of both of them, and it itself has a 10k. So this allows us to just have more combo power, or just cycling through our deck more. Speaking of cycling, we play the 18 4 Cell Juniors, because we do play the 8-cost Cell in this deck, so this also is free. My double striker of choice in this deck is Piccolo. So you don't see, I'm not playing the Droid deck. I mean, I'm not playing the Droid. So the 6 cost actually got replaced by the new 8-drop Cell that we'll talk about here in a second. But Piccolo also is a double striker. If you have 8 or more energy, you're typically going to be able to get the 8 energy, right? So on the turn, how kind of the Cell deck works is you get to, generally your waking turn, which you'll have 4 energy, right? That's the idea. You can waken on 4 energy. Waken past 4 energy, it's fine. But 4 energy, you use Cell, which you'll tap you'll tap this, you'll add a card to your energy, you go to 5, then you'll use your leader effect, then go to 6, right? That kind of sets you up for the following turn, right? Or the turn after to go to 8 energy. Then once you're at 8 energy, when you slam this cell here, which cracks 3 of your energy, you go back down to 5. Then you can use your leader effect, go to 6, cell games, go to 7, turn after that, you're back at 8, right? Let's say you're back at 8 energy. Now, you have the ability, instead of just slamming 8 again, you can slam Piccolo for 4 and have 4 extra energy to play with. Whether that is playing cantrips, whether that's using Earth-Destroying Blow, whether that's using Gigantic Meteor. Now you can actually turn this card into an even bigger Double Striker without having to pay the 6 energy, right? Board clearing is not a big problem for this deck. This deck does a great job of board clearing between this cell, which pops 2 cards, between old Broly, or between the new cell that actually board wipes everything 6 or less on your opponent's board and puts it into their energy, right? So these cards here kind of allow you to clear the way for this card to actually be relevant, right? It's going to be something your opponent's not going to be expecting. So as long as you don't have a blocker on board, you slam this guy. Now you have a 25k Double Striker. Now you can tack on the Earth-Destroying Blow and the Gigantic Meteors and things like that. And also, it's not a dead card, so it's not not another 0k. You have to kind of be cognizant of the 0ks that you're running, because green probably has the most 0ks next to red. So you don't want to just be running just a bunch of dead cards. So one of the other cards you probably saw in the deck, you're probably going to ask questions about, is this cell here. This is a promo from set 2. This card's really cool. Really, really cool card. So you choose a battle card with Earthling in its special trait and cost of 4 or less and add it to its owner energy in rest mode. So you technically can use this to ramp yourself. So if you have a Bulma on board, you can play this and then put the Bulma in your energy. You can put the Hercule in your energy. You also can put the Trunks in your energy, because it is also an Earthling. This also allows you to remove your opponent's cards as well. So if your opponent has a card that's a 4-drop Earthling, generally going to be in the blue matchup, you can hit this, and now that card's gone, right? You can just instantly puts it into their energy, right? Of course, we run the Gohan here, which actually allows us to facilitate the Cell and the Trunks, as well as the other 1 and 2 drops that we have in the deck. And then, of course, we have the boss monsters here. So, this deck's really cool. It slightly different twist on the Cell deck. You can, if you just want to play the Droid card, go ahead and play the Droid card. But I found this to be very fun, and just kind of a different take on the leader. That also does very well. So, but that does it for me today, guys. Hopefully, you guys did enjoy the video. You'll see a deck list down for each of the four decks that we talked about in the video today. And of course, like and subscribe if you guys did enjoy the content. That will do it for today, and I will see you guys in the next Fusion World video.